بالشر والخير فتنة. صدق الله العلي العظيم. Please this is salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. We started last night one of probably the most important topics that we need to think about, ponder upon, and realize how much of responsibility we have when it comes to Allah's commands, when it comes to community's commands and demands, and fulfill it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it is Amr bi Ma'ruf, enjoining the good and forbidding the evil. Please salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Wa ali Muhammad wa ajjal farajah. Imam Hussain alayhi salam, in his sermon before the event of Karbala, the tragedy of Karbala, some scholars have said 2 years before the event of Karbala, some say 1 year before the event of Karbala, he gave a sermon, khutbah, which is probably really important for all of us, that we should look into it, that Abu Abdullah al-Hussein is complaining from the leaders, from the ulama, from the scholars, from the qurra, from everyone that has some kind of influence on the community. It's very eye-opening for all of us. He says that Allah has given you respect, people respect you and you don't respect Allah. Allah have given you this, Allah has given you this, but in return, you have done nothing for the sake of Allah, for the religion of Allah. And I spoke about the philosophy of enjoining the good and forbidding the evil. The philosophy we spoke about last night was it has to be out of dilsozi, kindness, love. That is why Allah has sent down Prophet Muhammad to tell us, do that, do this, or stay away from such actions or sins, so on and so forth. It's out of kindness. And the other philosophy that we spoke about, it was looking at the bigger picture, which is that if I do not fulfill my responsibilities, it will affect me, my children, my family. That's the philosophy of Amr bi Ma'ruf wa Nahy az Munkar. So this is the philosophy behind it. Another philosophy, the scholars have come forward and said this, that whatever the Prophet says that you have to do it, especially this obligation, this is one of the probably most important factors for us to go towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As we all know, we have come to this world, so we spiritual warfare towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it does help, my brothers and sisters. Once Allama Muhammad Taqi Majlisi, Rizwanullah ta'ala alayhi, not the famous Majlisi, that's his son, his Majlisi Awwal. Allama Majlisi, he says, I had really good spirituality in Najaf. Alhamdulillah, classes, teachings, and then ziyarat of Amir al-Mu'mineen, home, so and so. It was a very good place for me. One day or one night, he said that I had a dream, and I saw in my dreams Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib, alayhi salam, where Amir al-Mu'mineen says, Majlisi, Muhammad Taqi Majlisi, you have to move from Najaf to Isfahan. He says, I begged Amir al-Mu'mineen Imam Ali alayhi salam that please allow me stay here, stay in Najaf. But Amir al-Mu'mineen said, you have to move to Isfahan. Why? Because Allah wants to guide Muslims through you, from your hands. You have to move. And then it was Amir al-Mu'mineen's command. So Allama Muhammad Taqi Majlisi Rizwanullah ta'ala alayhi, he moved to Isfahan. Why? Because Amir al-Mu'mineen told him in the vision or in the dream that Shah Abbas will die soon. There will be a bit of fitna, discord, and then you have to guide the mu'mineen there. And it has been mentioned in the history that Allama Muhammad Taqi Majlisi guided about 70,000 people, either converting them into Islam or they were sinners, so on and so forth, so he made them good Muslims. So sometimes when Ahlul Bayt says you have to fulfill your obligations, he does not want you to just sit on the sufra, on the table of Ahlul Bayt by yourself. But rather he wants you to take and hold other people's hand and bring them with you towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is very important. And we talk about the importance of it as a bigger picture last night, that how important it is, especially in the phase that we are living right now in this country. Without doubt, 40 years ahead, 50 years ahead, 100 years ahead is dependent on how we react right now. And alhamdulillah, I see a lot of brothers and sisters, wherever I go, they have the pain, they have this energy and motivation to work for the beautiful religion of Islam. This in itself is a blessing, alhamdulillah. The point that this mosque is beautiful like this, the point that all of the majalis lectures are happening, the point that we have Playford College right now, these are all of the signs that the believers, alhamdulillah, fulfilling their duties. But there's always a space for improvement and development, my brothers and sisters. Now there are some conditions when it comes to fulfilling our obligations, when it comes to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's commands. The first one, anyone who wants to work for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they have to remember something very important. It's one of the letters that Amir al-Mu'mineen wrote to Malik Ashtar. When Amir al-Mu'mineen was the Imam of Ummah and Malik Ashtar was governing a place. And then Amir al-Mu'mineen wrote a letter to him, which is very important for all of us. He says, Malik Ashtar, yes, you're doing all of the job, so on and so forth, you're working for the people. Here Amir al-Mu'mineen gives a really good point. He says, Malik, save the best time for Allah and yourself. Save the best time for Allah and yourself. When is the best time for Allah and ourselves? The best time is the night prayers. The best time is praying on time. The best time is Bainut Tulu'ain. So the time between Fajr and sunrise. Anyone who's working for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if they take care of these times, and before Maghrib prayers, these are special times that we can connect with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Anyone takes care of this time, what will happen? He can improve the community. He can change the people. Even our parents, sometimes parents tell us about youth problem. Yes, there are different factors. One factor is this, that we have neglected ourselves. We have heard about actions speaks louder than words. This is completely perfect. This is right. But sometimes someone's nafs has more effect on other people if they're spiritually purified. Within a house, if a mother has a pure heart, she will affect their family, their children automatically. We have forgotten this. When I was coming back to Australia, one of my teachers, Mufassir al-Quran, he does good commentary on Holy Quran, he says, this has been forgotten by parents, by us, by our leaders, that our nufus, our souls have a lot of effect on the other people. Sometimes to the extent, there's a story written by Allama Tehrani Rizwanullah Ta'ala alayhi, where he says, once one of the scholars, he was following Ayatollah Sayyid Jamaluddin Gulpaygani Rizwanullah Ta'ala alayhi. Sayyid Jamaluddin Gulpaygani, he was one of the Urafa. He says, the scholar says, I was following Sayyid Jamaluddin Gulpaygani and I was seeing nur with him, like a light, ma'nawi, spiritual light. And then I was following him until another scholar came and met with him. Paid salam, they spoke, and then the scholar left. And then Aji Agha, Sayyid Jamaluddin Gulpaygani Rizwanullah Ta'ala alayhi, he told me to come out. And I was surprised, he knows that I'm with him. When he came out, Sayyid Jamaluddin Gulpaigani Ayatullah, he told the scholar that, what did you see? He said, I saw Noor with you, but as soon as you paid salam and all of this discussion happened, the Noor, this light went away. Why? What was the reason behind it? Because the nafs of the other scholar, unfortunately, it was dark. That affected Ayatullah. Sometimes Ayatullah Bahjat, Rizwanullah Ta'ala alayhi, he used to go around without making sure no one sees me sometimes. So it's a discussion in itself. It's called uzlat in spiritual wayfaring, in practical irfan. That how much someone who is spiritual, that person affects your nafs, and someone who is a sinner, it affects your nafs too. That's why it's important that we have really good gatherings with families that eats halal, that does obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it's important for anyone who wants to bring any change, they need to change themselves first. That's why Amir al-Mu'minin says to Malik Yashtar what? He says that you have to spend the best of time and give it to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That way, without doubt, you're gonna change. There's another beautiful hadith from one of the Imams. He says, Innal alima. Innal alima. Please sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allah. Sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajah. Innal alima. Innal alima. Lam ya'lam bi'ilmih. If a scholar does not act upon the knowledge of himself, zallat maw'izatuhu anil qulub. His advice, his lectures slips away from the hearts of the mu'mineen. Kama yazillu al-mataru anil safa. The way the water slips from a slippery stone. This is how important it is, my brothers and sisters. That I'm talking about the conditions of this obligation. Amr bi ma'ruf wa nahy anil munkar. That how important it is and what are the conditions for it. The first condition is that I have to obey Allah myself. And then slowly tell others, invite others too. And through these ahadith, we realize that our nafs, our own actions affect other people. So this is the first and very important criteria for enjoining the good and forbidding the evil. And anyone who works on themselves, without doubt, the love of Allah and sincerity increases. Anyone who does it out of sincerity, his internal layer of action and external layer of action, it stays with the people. There's a good, beautiful story of Muhaddis Qummi, Rizwanullah Ta'ala alayhi. He said, Biharul Anwar, one of our beautiful traditions book, he said, I went through the traditions multiple times. Back in those days, it was 120 volumes. 120 volumes. Thousands of ahadith, riwayat. He went through it, and then he made a really good book in few years. It's called Safinatul Bihar. He made it some changes, good order, so on and so forth. And he said, while I was working on that work, I had this thoughts within my head that when this book of mine gets published, it will be sell out, people will be buying it, in a sense, because the work is really good. I had these thoughts. And then at the end of the years, towards the end of my work, I got a little bit tired. So I went to Amir al-Mu'minin, I said, Amir al-Mu'minin, allow me to have a bit of break before I finish this work of mine. So he said, for 2-3 weeks, I took some time. I came outside, there was a stall of books. I saw the bookstall and I looked at one of the books of Sayyid ibn Tawuz, Rizwanullah Ta'ala alayh, Iqbalul A'mal. And then I said, let's do some work on this book too, while I am free for 2-3 weeks. Let's not waste my time. So he said, I took that book for 2-3 weeks. I made it in order, so on and so forth. The du'as and the days of, the du'as in regards to days, months, so on and so forth. He said, I took the Safinatul Bihar that I worked for years to the publication to please print this out. And I was expecting that once this gets published, people will be buying, sell out, so on and so forth. The other book that I worked on for 2-3 weeks, I gave it to the publications and I said, print this out too. And they said, what are you going to name it? He said, I didn't have a proper name even in my mind. At that time I said, write Mafatihul Jinan. He said, both of them got published. I was waiting for Safinatul Bihar to be, prints out of prints, so on and so forth. I heard no one's buying it that much. On the other hand, Mafatihul Jinan, they call me, it's finished, we have to print again, we have to send it to the other city. And right now, every one of us have at least one Mafatihul Jinan in our houses. And then he says, Ikhlas, ikhlas, sincerity, sincerity within our actions. He says, because I had those thoughts, it didn't work out. But the other one, Mafatihul Jinan, yes, he had sincerity, but he didn't think about being famous, so on and so forth. We all have it, everyone within our homes. لَزَرْبَةُ عَلِيٍّ يَوْمَ الْخَنْدَقِ أَفْضَلُ مِنْ إِبَادَةِ الثَّقَلَيْنِ. One strike of Amir al-Mu'mineen is greater than all of our worship. Like me, the whole masjid, the whole Mu'mineen, the whole Adelaide, the whole Australia, the whole Iran, all of the Maraji, 80 years, 70 years, 24/7, we go to sajda and pray Allah. One strike of Ali, one strike. One strike, 2 seconds, 5 seconds, 10 seconds. Is greater than all of our sajda if we do it 24/7. And the question is, why is that? Not just humans, jinns. Why is it afzal? Why is it greater? There are answers, because at that time when Imam Ali killed Amr ibn Abdawud, it was a very sensitive time in the Battle of Khandaq trench. But more importantly, it was ikhlas of Amir al-Mu'mineen. It was ikhlas of Amir al-Mu'mineen. It was sincerity of Amir al-Mu'mineen, alayhi salam, that we cannot compare it with any one of us. One of my teachers used to say, if you give $1 for the sake of Allah, and if someone gives $50,000 for the sake of people, that $1 is more valuable in the eyes of Allah. So we have to focus on our internal layers of our actions, because we have two types of actions. One, the external layer, one, the internal layer. The internal layer, which is the muhabba, the ikhlas, it's much valuable and important than the external layer that we have, which is just this body working. So that's one, that the conditions of Amr bi-Ma'ruf wa Nahi anil Munkar. The second condition, we have to be expert in whatever we are trying to do. Because if I don't know what's ma'ruf, if I don't know what's munkar, if I know what's good, if I don't know what's evil, if I know what's wajib, what's haram, how am I going to stop, or how am I going to invite others towards it? In the first position, I need to build my knowledge. I need to gain as much as possible. Unfortunately, within the religious communities, one of the problems that we are facing is this, that the people who are making decisions for the Islam or the Islamic matters are people who have no clue about Islam. That's one. Sometimes they have no clue and they have a vote. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will ask them, the way you didn't have this authority in other fields to talk about certain other fields, why did you allow yourself to talk about something that you weren't expert of? So this is really important, that the brothers and the sisters that are working as madrasa teachers, for example, they have to study themselves first too. They have to give time. For example, in Imam Ali Masjid in Sydney, the teachers that are teaching in madrasa, sisters and brothers, I said it's obligatory, it's wajib in a sense on you to at least have classes with me to gain knowledge yourselves first, and then inshallah pass it on to the students. I have no clue what you're teaching to the kids. So it's very important that for Amr bi Ma'ruf, I need to build my knowledge. And sometimes some people have the knowledge, but they don't come forward. This is a problem too. This is a huge problem too. Some of the people, they have the potential in different departments, but they don't come forward. They are scared of the abaru. They are scared of these factors. Please, sallallahu Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So it's important, the people who have the potential, they need to come forward. The youth that have the energy, they need to come forward and give time to the religion of Islam. Sometimes you ask some of the brothers that please give some time, they are scared of their honor, respect, so on and so forth. Trust me, anyone who leaves the door of Ahlul Bayt, the school of Ahlul Bayt, they will be more disrespected. It's within our du'as. That how one of the imams, he talks about that whoever runs away from their obligations, they will be more zalil. The way the people of Kufa, we are cursing them until now. Why? They did not fulfill their duties. And sometimes some people do not come forward because they have too much of humiliation, wrong humiliation, tawazu. This sometimes becomes a problem too for some of the brothers. There are some points or some phases of our life that we have to say man. It's good that we shouldn't have ego within our lifestyle. But there are some times that we can say man, me. For example, what are some of the times? One of the times is this: if I see within the community, no one can do this job, but I know I can do it. At that time, you have to say, I can do it, I have the experience of it. It's not bad in Islam. Unless the whole community says, no, you can't do it, then maybe you sit down. Another place, if someone's false accusing you of something, at that time the traditions say you have the right to say, no, I haven't done it, bring proofs to protect your nafs, yourself. So it's important that we realize these points, my brothers and sisters. Please, sallallahu Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Now for us to understand, from where do we start? How can I change people? We need to look at within psychology and Islamic psychology. Before changing people, we need to realize what is affecting people's decisions. For example, some people sitting down here, they have come for majlis. Some are sitting down at home watching something, Netflix, whatever. Now the question is this: why have you decided this and he has decided that? What's the reason behind it? What's the reason behind it that someone becomes a doctor, someone becomes a sheikh, someone becomes something else? It's a good question. Within psychology they discuss this, within Hosa we discuss this question, that what is behind our actions? What are those factors that changes our actions? Few answers have been given. One answer that tonight I'll talk about it briefly. It's knowledge. How much you know about something. Knowledge changes a person. Knowledge changes a person. Now if I want to bring change to the youth or within the community, the first step might be changing or bringing awareness. Changing people's thoughts. This is really important that we need to remember. And alhamdulillah, these lectures, the seminars, so on and so forth, they are doing really good. They're changing people's minds. This is the first thing. Sometimes, if a sister is not doing proper hijab, if a brother is not fulfilling his job, and committing sins, maybe the first reason we have to think about it, maybe it's knowledge. They don't know anything about it. And we have expectations. I remember once I was in Sydney, one of the fathers from Melbourne, he gave me a call and he said, my daughter is 15 years old and he's not doing hijab. Sheikh, can you talk about the philosophy of hijab? I said, in 5 minutes I can't do miracle. That's obviously. But I can refer her to a book, Sheikh Mutahari's book, Philosophy of Hijab. 60 to 70 pages in English. Go through that, inshallah. If she has more questions, we'll talk, we'll discuss. So the first thing, if you want to change someone, let's work on their minds, let's work on their knowledge, bring more awareness, especially to the youth, that alhamdulillah, this is very good that the whole 10 nights, the youth, they had English lecture plus they had Q&A with the Sheikh. I'm pretty sure, majority of them, at least they have something in their mind now. They have doubts, probably the doubts have gone much lower now. And with certainty they can pray, with certainty they can believe in Allah, with certainty they can wear their hijab, with certainty so on and so forth. Because the questions, when I look at the questions, you could see some of the questions are fiqhi, like jurisprudential, some questions are ethical, some questions are theological. So that means they have doubts within their minds. And these doubts are stopping them from coming to the mosque. It's very obvious. Imagine if I keep speaking in Arabic for 10 nights. How many of you guys going to turn up? 1 night, 2 nights, 3 nights. The 4th night the Sheikh is talking Arabic, man. What is he on about? We can't get it. But slowly, when the doubts finish, certainty comes. You feel good, and then you will start, inshallah, attending the majalis, attending the lectures, so on and so forth. So we have to remember this, my brothers and sisters. The times have changed, and we have to work on these points. So the first thing, mentality, thoughts, so on and so forth. And with the best of manners. With the best of manners. For example, my elders have heard about the story of Hussainia, when an old man who was taking wrong wudu. They did not, Imam Hassan and Imam Hussein went, you're old, you're 60 years old, you can't take your wudu? You're right, what's wrong with you? They didn't do it. How did they do it? How did they solve this problem? They went to the old man, they said, can you check our wudu? Which one is correct? Now Imam Hassan and Imam Hussein, the kids, they took the wudu, both of them correctly, similar to each other, perfect. And there the old man realized that, I was taking the wudu wrong myself. You see how it works? Likewise, when it comes to our daughters, our sons, they have grown up here. Up here, they're empty. Up here, they're empty. We have to deal with them with a lot of patience. With a lot of patience. I remember myself, when I was in year 10, I came home, year 9, year 10, high school. My dad, and I didn't want it to pray, to be honest. I'll be honest, I didn't want it to pray at all. I was like, I had so many doubts. And my dad, may Allah prolong his life. If he's watching, I don't know if he is. He probably is going to allow me to narrate this. He even said to a point that there's a tradition that people don't pray, don't eat with them. Very straightforward. This is how our parents are. And they love us. I'm talking to the youth. They love us. And this is how they treat us. This is how much they know. And then I got angry. I was like, what's this? It didn't solve the problem. It made it worse for me. Alhamdulillah, slowly the doubts went out to the point that my uncle said, what's wrong with him? He's going home. Why? Because that doubts, once it goes away, the certainty comes. We like certainty. We like yaqeen. And we start following. We start following it, and this is what happens. Another very important point for our youth, for themselves, and for the parents. Usually some of the parents ask me, how is it possible for my youth to follow Ahlul Bayt? One really good example is that we need to make Ahlul Bayt role models for them. Now, how we do it, it's a point of discussion in itself. How we do it. Because whenever we make role models, we follow them. This is the magic of love. We have seen it within our lives too. The youngster who loves Ronaldo, he acts like Ronaldo. He gets the haircut like Ronaldo. He dresses like Ronaldo. He walks like Ronaldo. Even I remember when I was playing soccer back in the days, for number 7, there was always a fight. Why? Because Ronaldo used to wear number 7. Number 7 used to tuck their shirt in, so on and so forth. Why? Because Ronaldo was a role model. I'm giving my child everything from a young age. Spider-Man to, I don't know, so many things. And I expect the role model to be Prophet Muhammad. No, it won't be Prophet Muhammad. It will be Spider-Man. These characters. So it's important in these mosques, we need to build role models. Role models are our Maraji. Role models are Allama Tabatabai, all of these great personalities. Role models are Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. Role models are A'imma alayhimus salam. We need to bring them as a role models. If we are succeeded in this part, trust me, slowly, slowly, the youth will change. If we do not work on these things, and if a youth, if a person, if a young man wants to change, if he does not change his lifestyle, he still has the same lifestyle that he used to have, he will not change, because we are creation that we fantasize. We make a role model for ourselves and we follow that role model. So it's important that I need to cover my eyes, my senses, in order to stay safe from these fake role models. Musicians, Hollywood industry, actors, so on and so forth. They are all fake. They themselves, they are depressed, they have anxieties, they have disorders, even though they have millions or maybe some of them billions of dollars. Trust me, they don't have peace. Who had peace? Allama Tabatabai. Who had peace? Ayatollah Uzma, Sistani, these great personalities. They have a beautiful life. We think they don't have good life. They are loving their life. So inshallah, slowly, slowly, the community will work on these points, and we all have to work together. Just remember this, my brothers and sisters. I can provide the platform for others to develop. For anyone to change, he or she needs to take the decision. We can only provide the platform. Tazkiyah nafs only happens if that person wants to do it. And our job as a parent is what? That we only provide that platform. Now, acting upon that actions, it depends on ourselves, all of us. So this is how it works, my brothers and sisters. May Allah accept all of the ibadah, all of the majalis that all of you have been attending. And may Allah give us the strength to follow Ahlul Bayt's path. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. وعجل فرجهم اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم صلى الله عليك يا أبا عبد الله صلى الله عليك يا أبا عبد الله صلى الله عليك يا أبا عبد الله. My brothers and sisters, it's hard purifying ourselves. Ayatollah Bahjat Rizwanullah Ta'ala alayhi, he says that the best of mustahabbat, the best of the recommended actions is crying for Abu Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salam. When we cry for Abu Abdullah al-Hussein, our souls are attached to Abu Abdullah al-Hussein's souls, and it purifies our souls, my brothers and sisters. Abu Abdullah al-Hussein with his companions, they gave everything to save us. And these nights are the nights of calamities, my brothers and sisters. Probably it was today, 12th of Muharram or 13th of Muharram, when the tribe of Bani Asad, they came to realize these bodies that were on the land of Karbala without heads, the bodies that are in pieces. They were shocked, whose bodies are these? Until a young man appears, and that young man is Sayyidul Sajideen. He comes to the land of Karbala. When he comes to the land of Karbala, the tribe of Bani Asad, Imam Sajjad tells them, can you bring a cloth? When they brought a cloth, the first thing Imam Sajjad alayhi salam does is he brings the body of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein that were completely wounded, that were in pieces. He brings all of the body of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein, and he digs a grave for Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. He goes inside the grave of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. He puts the body of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein without the holy head of Imam Hussein. When he puts it in the grave, Sayyidul Sajideen, he cries out loud, my brothers and sisters. Imam's cry did not stop there when he was burying his father Hussein, but he cried for 35 years. He was asked, oh Imam, why are you crying for so long? Sayyidul Sajideen says, Prophet Yaqub, he cried so much for Prophet Yusuf, his son. Despite Yusuf was alive, he cried so much that he became blind. And you expect me not to cry for my father? You do not expect me to cry for the who? For the family members of Ahlul Bayt. 18 family members of Ahlul Bayt were butchered on the day of Ashura. Altogether 70 martyrs on the day of Ashura, my brothers and sisters. Sayyidul Sajideen says, why don't you expect me to cry when I see the water? Why don't you expect me to cry when I see someone slaughtering a sheep? Imam Sajjad, whenever he sees someone slaughtering a sheep, doing zibh of a sheep, he says, have you given the sheep water? Have you given the sheep water or not? Why? Because it has been mentioned that when Imam Sajjad alayhi salam buries Abu Abdullah al-Hussein, he comes out of the grave. When he comes out of the grave, he says, Haza qabr al-Hussein, qataluhu adshana, alladhi qataluhu adshana. This is the grave of Hussein, son of Ali, who has been martyred thirsty. The calamities doesn't stop here, my brothers and sisters. Imam Sajjad alayhi salam says, when we were taken to the Sham, they stopped us on the door of Sham. La'in Yazid invited the musicians, the drums, and so on and so forth. Now the children of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein, Lady Zainab, they have to wait hours. Why? Because they were celebrating that the infidels have come. Now, if you have been to Sham, they say from that door to the palace of Yazid, it's not long, but it took hours for Ahlul Bayt to go through the bazaar of Sham. Sayyid al-Sajidin says, we were chained, my hands were chained behind my neck. These la'een, they were throwing rocks from the roofs of their houses. They were throwing fire from the roofs of their houses. One of the fire hit my head, and my amama was on fire. My head got burnt, I couldn't do anything. Why? Because my hands were tied behind my neck. These are the tragedies of Karbala, my brothers and sisters. Just few words of poetry. Tonight's the last night of my majlis here. And I really want to ask about Abdullah al-Hussein for the ziyarat of Arba'een. With these few lines of poetry, inshallah, Abdullah al-Hussein takes us, gives us tawfiq to attend and do his ziyarah on Arba'een. Khake Karbala, Khake pur shifa, Mera sim bibo sim bana laha. Khake Karbala, Khake pur shifa, Mera sim bibo sim bana laha. Maravim kuja babare guna, Juzdare Hussein Shah Shohada. Ravim bar darbar Shah Alamdar, Daste bastao Chashme ashkubar, Bawafa, Mire Bawafa, Mire Bawafa. Garche Rusiya, Hastim az guna, Berasim bibo sim bana laha. Khake Karbala, Khake pur shifa, Mera sim bibo sim bana laha. Langare nijat, Shah kainat, Jane Sayyada, Bab Muhsinat. Yak nigah, binim yak nigah, binim yak nigah. Rawza-e Mawla Ibn Mustafa, Berasim bibo sim bana laha. Maravim kuja babare guna, Juzdare Hussein Shah Shohada. Allahumma inna nas'aluka wa nad'uk wa nuqsimuka wa narjuk bi Muhammadin wa Ali wa Fatima wal Hasan wal Hussein wa tis'ati tahirati min dhurriyyati al-Hussein. Ya Allah, Ya Allah, Ya Allah, Ya Allah, Ya Allah, Ya Allah. O Allah, hasten the repentance of Imam of our time and make us his purest servants. For all of the beloved that are not amongst us anymore, for the shuhada, ulama, martyrs, the scholars, please recite Surah Fatiha ma'al ikhlasi wa salawat.